Hello everybody, I'm Roxy and this is Rock Me BS. So on the downside, I'm really behind on everything basically. This is the last of my summer highlights video finally, but I haven't uploaded the wrap up for 2020, which was in December, which sucks, nor my 5-star predictions wrap up. Oh my god, I have so much to catch up on. So I will do that right after this video. I promise I won't record anything else until I'm done with all of those things I want to upload for you. Anyways, I really wanted to catch up on this because I read so many great things in January and February. So if you missed the first two, I'm also going to link that down below and on the eye. Today we're going to talk about only 5-star books, and I have 4 books to show you, I think. All of these books I enjoyed so much. I read Uncommon People, The Rise and Fall of the Rock Stars by David Hepworth. And so David Hepworth is a very important rock critic, and this book, which by the way, amazing cover. Let me take off the half dust jacket. Oh my god, isn't this beautiful? This is sort of an analysis more than a history, I would say, although it is chronologically organized. That was the word I was looking for. So what Hepworth does in this book is basically illustrate this sociocultural notion of the rock star throughout the times by taking one episode in each year since 1955 and finishing with 1992. Talks about that rock star, how he or she became a rock star and what they embodied and how this affected like their lives and the public opinion of them, and it's just fascinating. I would say though that you do need to have like a little bit of rock knowledge and be interested in rock because it's not a history. It does make a lot of leaps and jumps and connections that I personally found fascinating. Not being a rock expert myself, but knowing and having studied a bit of it already. And it's super interesting because he talks about how there were specific conditions in the past century that allowed for rock stars to exist in this particular way, and that this is now over thanks to social media. Basically, with all this exposure, the myth, the legend that was a rock star is no longer there, and although we still use the term, what we have now are hip-hop stars. I think that's fascinating. The prose in here is very readable. I marked it a lot. I thought it was super interesting. Oh, and at the end of each chapter he has a playlist of not his favorite songs, but like just favorite albums and songs of that year. So things that people were listening to beyond just rock. So he also includes a lot of jazz, a lot of Frank Sinatra, and like pop, and it's just very interesting, and I definitely suggest this. I gave this a 4.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it, and I actually enjoyed it so much that although it wasn't a full 5-star for Goodreads, I actually graded it up. And then I have 3 books that I gave 5 stars to and that have become favorites, and the first of those is How to Be Both by Alice Smith. This book has to be read by everyone. Well, this is going to be on my second, I think, Goldsmith Prize review. I know I still have to upload the first, but well, what am I going to do? This is about a girl called George in Cambridge that's very obsessed with a painting painted by a Renaissance artist called Francesco. The book is divided in both Francesco's story and George's story. However, when they were published, they printed versions with Francesco's stories first and versions with George's stories first. Mine was the latter, and the person who recommended it to me actually had the other versions. And the point there was that you can read this in a different way, whether you read first Francesco's version or George's version, and it's so fascinating. I want to reread it with the other version, so reading Francesco's part first, and I think it will be a totally different experience, although I will know what the twist sort of is. But it's just such an interesting story of art and identity and discovery of identity, and how this notion that we find so modern. It's actually quite old, and our identities are very fluid, and it's just a very interesting book. Read Alice Smith, guys. Then I also read The Tower by W.B. Yeats. And so Yeats is one of my favorite poets. He was a very influential figure in the Irish literary revival. Beyond his political beliefs and beyond his actions, which are very interesting in themselves, I just think he is a fascinating poet. I had him in several compilations and anthologies, but I didn't have like a book that was structured as a book, as a poetry collection. This was a book that was arranged by him to be published as such, and it's called The Tower, and it has some great, beautiful poetry that I commented a lot of like standard Yeats, in the sense of the end of the world, decay, youth versus ancient legacy, and it's just so interesting. I want to reread this 100 times, and I know I will get something out of it every single time. These are poems to enjoy, but they are also poems to study. I definitely think you get more out of them by studying them, but I don't think you need to enjoy them, because the level of their aesthetic value is so high, and it's just lovely. And then I have one that became a new favorite and has started an obsession, Slouching Towards Bethlehem by Joan Didion. This is a collection of essays all about the 60s in California, and oh my god, I've annotated this, highlighted them, put on post-its. I just love this so much. I'm actually rereading this. I had a whole list of books that I wanted to reread this year. I started with this because I'm just obsessed. Joan Didion writes in a way that's so incisive, but also so not judgmental, although she does present her opinions. You just can see her there sitting all skinny and awake and just observing everything, and the pictures she presents here are so great. Her introduction is so great. Everything about this is so awesome. Although I must say, having read the Goodreads review, like summary for this, I want to make clear that it's not as gruesome as it appears, because it sort of sells it as focusing on drugs and murders and being like very gruesome. But although there is some of that, I don't think it's the focus of the book at all. I think it's a very both personal but also social and collective collection, and I think what it does is to paint a picture. So that was it. Before I leave, I just want to recommend 2 albums to you because I've been obsessed. 3 actually. One is the first album from a French trio called Therapy Taxi. The album is called Hit Sale, I think. It's amazing. I'm in love with them. They are sort of soft electropop with a lot of hip hop. It's just the sound is like very current but also very fresh, and I really like it. Also, one of my favorite Korean bands ever made a comeback recently, TVXQ, with their new album New Chapter 1, The Chance of Love, and it's amazing. It was better than I could have hoped for. The main song is just amazing. And then I also want to promote Hyuko, a singer that a really dear friend introduced to me, and both in English and Korean. He's an indie singer, and he plays like very indie style music, but his voice has a very special. If you like bands like, I don't know, maybe Young the Giant or San Cisco or even Glass Animals, I think you might enjoy Hugo very much. So I'm going to link those 3 channels down below so you can check them out. And finally, I want to recommend one of my favorite Oscar movies. For the first time in years, I'm going to have watched all the Oscar nominated films. I really want to promote The Phantom Thread because it has really slipped under the radar for movies like Dunkirk, which was really good, and Lady Bird and Call Me By Your Name, and of course the winner, The Shape of Water, 3 Billboards, which to me was the one that deserved to win. But The Phantom Thread is a story of an obsessive romance between a designer and his muse, and it's just brilliant. The soundtrack, not only just the music, but the sound editing and how every single like cut of the fabric is etched in the movie. It's so great, so please check it out. And that is it. I hope you like this video. Please give a thumbs up, please subscribe and comment. And yeah, have you read any of these books? Are you planning to? Have you heard or watched anything interesting lately? And that's it. See you next time, hopefully with everything that I need to upload. I'm sorry, I'm the worst. Bye.